Welcome to today's episode of Unleashed and Empowered. One of the biggest reasons that soul-led entrepreneurs stay stuck in the feast and famine cycle isn't because they lack value, heart, and sometimes even strategy. It's because they're not consistently creating opportunity flow in a way that feels good and that works. Today, I'm diving into a very powerful framework that I've recently learned. It's called SAP, Sales Activity Planning, and how when fused with your human design, your astrology, and your gene keys, it becomes your roadmap out of the feast and famine trap that so many of us have experienced. If you have been running your business on intuition alone, constantly reacting instead of leading, this episode will show you how to rewire your rhythm without sacrificing your soul. Welcome to Unleashed and Empowered, the podcast for visionaries and hard-led entrepreneurs who refuse to shrink or settle. I'm Alice Taugs, your host, guide, and fellow traveler in the messy but magical journey of entrepreneurship, blending spirituality, energy, intuition, and AI to amplify aligned business and personal power. Through raw conversations, both solo and with inspiring guests, we explore the moments that change everything, helping you trust yourself, redefine success, and create with courage and ease. You are exactly where you're meant to be. Let's dive in. Let's just imagine. You've bought the courses, you've hired the coaches, you've done the journaling, the manifesting, the crystals, but you're still stuck in those reactive loops. You're posting last minute, you're launching from panic when the bank account is about to hit zero again, and you're discounting from scarcity. So it's 2:17 a.m., you're lying awake in bed, you're staring at the ceiling, your heart races, and you feel like you have done everything right. The branding, the course creation, the journaling, the Pinterest board of your dream clients, but the numbers just simply aren't adding up. The offers may not be converting, and you're tired. Not just physically tired, but soul tired. And you're thinking, why is this so hard? Why is the universe not supporting me? Maybe this isn't meant for me. And why is everyone else growing and I'm stuck in this survival mode? I know this to be true because A, I have been there myself, and B, out of the many conversations that I've had over the last couple of weeks with people just like yourself, we're all experiencing the same things. Now, this week's energies have been very potent. I don't know if you're following astrology or if you're following a few different people who sort of get downloads about what's happening at the moment. This week is powerful from a manifestation point of view because of where Jupiter sits in the sky. Now, by the time you hear this episode, this would have been last week, and I'm currently chilling out in Margaret River for a couple of days to restore a little bit of our energies before Stephen gets into his craziest time of the year. So why do we experience those cycles? It's not because we're not organized, it's not because we're lazy, and it's not because we're not doing what we're meant to be doing or simply are good at what we're doing. The thing that has occurred to me recently is that we have been trying to build our businesses inside systems that are not designed for our frequency and for our energetic blueprint. And the models that we have been trying to follow were simply not built in alignment with our human design. And the result is we end up hustling, we follow the rigid frameworks, and they just feel not great in the body. And we feel like we're burning ourselves out, and we think that somehow this whole business thing should have been so much easier and so much simpler. We're all some level of mystics. We're all feelers, we're all channels, and we're all visionaries because these are the people that I love working with in my business. And when we try and cramp ourselves into those rigid frameworks, we are ignoring our feminine flow and we're trying to stick to the old masculine molds, and that simply backfires. And I'm not here to build a business like that. And I know from the conversations that I have been having, you're tired of building businesses like that too. Let's bring in human design. If you have been following me for a while, you know that I'm absolutely obsessed with human design because I know it works. But most of us have dabbled in it. We might be knowing our type, we might be knowing our authority, but that's not the same as understanding how to use your human design blueprint and then building a business and a framework around that works and that supports you and that just feels like you are in alignment. It's been something that I have been sort of sitting with for quite some time. For over 3 years now, I have been supporting business owners in their business journeys through the power of human design. And there have been themes that have emerged. I have observed things that have worked, that didn't work, based on experimentation and based on the feedback that I have been getting from my clients. So I feel like I'm quite honored to be sitting in this seat right now where I can help build that bridge and be the person that is going to guide people from the old 3-dimensional business frameworks to the new era, the new 5-dimensional business frameworks. And whilst we all don't quite know what they look like, I feel like it is my path and my purpose in this lifetime to help bridge that gap and to try and be a way shower for those that feel like there has to be something different. There has to be a different way. When we use our human design in our business, there is a couple of things that we can do that are quite intuitive. We probably all do that, but there is a different layer once you start having a look at how you can incorporate your human design in your marketing, in your offers, in your pricing, in your visibility, and in your strategy. For many of us, we may have had a reading, we may have had a report, but the problem is, how do you then translate that into a roadmap, into a framework where you exactly know when you build your next offer, this is how your offer should be structured, priced, and positioned so that your dream clients are so magnetically drawn to it that there is that cellular resonance where people say, that is it. I need to somehow work with that person. I don't know why, I don't know how, but in every cell of my body, I feel the resonance. And this is where the magic comes in. And this is also where we eliminate the guessing, we eliminate the spinning, and we are eliminating the constant thinking of, have I done it correct? Will this one land? Is this the right way to go about it? I don't know about you guys, but for me, before I was so clear on how my human design, my gene keys, and my astrology translates in my business, every time something didn't work, I was looking at the fault within myself. It didn't occur to me that maybe the wording was incorrect, that maybe I didn't even speak to my right target audience, my right dream clients. It was always like, have I done something wrong? Should I have positioned this one differently? Should I have priced this differently? That was sort of the reoccurring cycle that I have been finding myself in, even though I am a human design practitioner. Because when you have read your human design report and when you have gotten a reading from me, what we haven't been able to do so far was to get to that next level, that granular level, to give you some guidance around the pricing, the strategy, the positioning, the exact framework on how your offer should be structured. But that's only been until now. And I can tell you that the biggest shifts in business occur once you have that clarity and once you have that inner reassurance where you say, no, I have done everything right. The only thing that now has to catch up or that has to be tweaked is just a percent here or there. But I'm not going to can this offer and put it into the bin again and try and recreate something else from scratch, because what I have designed speaks directly to the needs of my clients, and it's something that they already want. So let that sit with you for a second. So to bring a little bit more context around it, it's one thing to know that you're a generator, but it's another to know what kind of lead generation energizes you. And that's obviously taking into consideration your profile lines, taking into consideration your perfect environment. Which offer then matches your sacral response if you're a sacral generator, and how to price without depleting your energy banks. There are some, I don't want to say secrets because they're not secrets, but there are some methodologies around that you can apply once you have that deeper knowledge. And that is one of the reasons why I have built Strategy by Design, why I'm so excited about Strategy by Design, because you can literally feel the exhale and the dropping of the shoulders every time I demonstrate Strategy by Design to a person who is facing exactly those struggles within their business. And they know that they're here to share their medicine with the world. They just haven't quite yet cracked the code on how to do that. It's not just a cause, it's actually an energetic architecture where your business can breathe, it can live, and it can be designed around your personal rhythms. When you look at Strategy by Design, we don't stop at just understanding your chart. We extract the rhythms, the visibility style, the scalable model, and build an actual plan around that. And then we blend your human design, your gene keys, your astrology, and all the proprietary business frameworks that I have put into the back end of it that then breathes and lives with you. For instance, I already know that whilst I'm going to be uncontactable for a couple of days because where we're going in Margaret River, there is simply no internet reception, I know that I will have income coming into my business during that time without having to constantly post on social media, without constantly having to be in my inbox. Because what I have done is I have now set up my business and in a structure in a way where I'm utilizing something that I have only just managed to get the wording around the other week. And that's the next insight that I would love to share with you. Because knowing your strategy, knowing your human design, knowing your astrology and your gene keys is one piece of a very, very important puzzle. But the next piece to get out of that feast and famine cycle, I believe, is also a sales structure. And when I say sales activity planning, what happens in your body? The amount of people that say to me, maybe I'm not cut out for business because I don't want to sell, I don't want to market, is astounding. But I believe that it's only because of the old rigid frameworks that we associate with selling, that we associate with marketing. Now, I have been, don't hold that against me, I have been one of those people that have sold insurances very early on in my life. And I feel like I had to do a lot of inner work to try and get that shame out of my body because it just felt so yuck. And this is what the feeling is for so many of us, that we associate selling, creating a personal brand, marketing our services as something that feels yuck. And so I was at this conference at the Gold Coast. I know I keep going on about the Gold Coast, but there was so much juiciness within the presentations that I have been sitting in. So at this point in time, I would like to do a very, very big shout out to Ian Stevens, because what he had explained to me wasn't something that I had never heard before, but it landed differently because of the way that he presented it. So I knew the session that he was going to host was around sales excellence. I know that he is one of the top 20 speakers around high performance in sales in teams. And I thought to myself, okay, this could either go two ways. It could go the old masculine way of the ways that I've heard about selling in my old previous corporate life, because I was a sales and marketing professional. So every year when we had sales conferences, I would be sitting through another one of those presentations. And then I thought, no, I'm going to approach this with a new and different mindset. I'm going to take what he teaches and I'm going to filter it through the lens of my human design and what I have started to learn and to know about how I'm wired. This is the advice that I always give to my clients. If you are in a coaching program, if you're going through a course, if you're working with a mentor or with a guide, always bring it back down and through your own human design and see how it aligns and how it lands in your body. You know yourself best. So let's get back to the SAP, the Sales Activity Planning Framework. What Ian said was that every income shift that he has seen, whether that was $7,000 or $70,000 a month, has started with one truth: that we need consistent, aligned activity in all three zones. And I'm going to explain to you what those three zones are. And I want you to become very honest with yourself and see, have you been utilizing those methodologies in your business, or are you shying away from them? Which I have done for a very long time. I was the person who thought that throwing spaghetti against the wall was strategy. And I thought that just sitting there and manifesting my dream clients would automatically have them land in my lap. I'm sorry to say, that's not how it works. So here are the three different segments that you will have to start paying incredible attention to if you would like to get your business out of the feast and famine cycle, the income, no income, and if you would like to start having a more attuned and soothed nervous system, because consistent money is hitting your bank account every couple of days, and you can feel in your body the relaxation around the fact that your bills are going to be covered. So the first one is prospecting. I know, prospecting, even the word is probably starting to make your hair a little bit curl up in the back of your neck. But let me explain what I mean from a soulpreneur's point of view and from a human design point of view. It doesn't mean that you need to cold call or cold DM people. That is possibly the worst thing that any of us could do as soul practitioners. And I receive those emails very regularly in my LinkedIn inbox where somebody has just connected with me and the first message I receive is, would you like to work with me? And I'm like, no, I actually don't, because A, I don't know anything about you. B, you know nothing about my business. And C, that's not how I would like to work. I would like to get a feeling for someone first before I even figure out whether they have an offer that might be aligned with solving one of my problems. So we need to start learning how to become visible that is in honor with our energy. And so if your dream is to fill a program with 50 dream clients, then having one-to-one conversations with 300-400 people is simply not going to be practical. Because if you look at a funnel, and yes, even soulpreneurs will have to have some sort of a funnel, and that can again be soul aligned, there is going to be a percentage at which you convert into your offers, into your programs. Not every conversation that you're going to have will lead to somebody sign up to what it is that you do. So figure out how many conversations do you need to have in the coaching industry, the conversion rate is anywhere between 3 to 10%. That is if you're running some form of an online coaching or even face-to-face coaching business. And so what it means is that you need to find ways on either how you can tap into existing networks so that you can speak to people at networks where you already have that borrowed trust because you are coming into a closed circle, or you could start talking about what it is that you're doing on a podcast, because generally the podcast is going to be listened to by more people. You can extract then little mini clips to utilize on your social media. And so think about, how do you create those conversations where people can start to get to know you, they can start to experience you, and you will then magically lead them through your funnel towards one of your offers. Again, it doesn't mean they're going to convert immediately, but at least they're going to be starting to experience your world. The next one is then how you're going to secure people in your world. And that means, are you clearly guiding people to a decision, or are you leaking energy in your pitch or in your follow-up? One of the things that absolutely baffles me, and I have fallen into that trap myself, is how difficult do we make it for clients to purchase from us? At one stage, somebody said to me, Alice, just do a little bit of an audit on your website and see how many clicks it takes for someone to purchase a human design report from you. It was too many. And if we don't make it easy for people to understand how to buy from us, then we're leaking potential sales. So you need to figure out, you need to do a little bit of an audit and say, is this the simplest method for somebody to buy from me? It doesn't always mean that you need to have the most polished website. You can simply sell and fill your dream program or a mastermind or a retreat from a gorgeous looking PDF. I have done that before, and as long as you speak the right language, you target the right people, yes, they will even buy a $3,000-$4,000 offer through a PDF. So I'm hoping that you're starting to see how a perhaps old masculine structure can be reinvented and reimagined through the lens of our own human design. The next thing is then, how are you retaining your clients? And this is where I've recently read a book by Andrew Griffiths. The title of the book is How to be the most expensive in your industry. And it's not so much about the title of the book. It's actually more around, if you want to stand out in the marketplace, you have to do things differently than your competition. Are you really clear on who you want to work with, so that the people that end up in your programs, you almost want to invite around your dinner table for a dinner party? So how do you delight those people? How do you keep them in your circle? How do you potentially even send them up an ascension pyramid to other offers that you might have? Because the total value of a client can be massive if you allow them to go on a journey with you, and if you allow them to also purchase other products from you. Let me tell you, that is a much better strategy than having to go and secure and find new leads. So just think about, what can you do from a retention point of view, and what have you currently got in place to fill your prospecting bucket to then convert into your securing bucket, and what do you do to retain people? I know this very, very well. Many of us are the only people that work in our business. We may have a virtual assistant like I do, or we might have set up a little bit of an AI team around us, which is absolutely great. But what I have seen so many times, and which happened to me so many times as well, is I have conversations, I feel a program, I am excited, there was money coming into the bank account, and then I simply have stopped having conversations. And then the money stopped. And then you're in this cycle again where you're like, shit, I don't have enough people in my funnel that I can now have conversations about and get more money into the bank account. It is not easy to work in your business and to work on your business at the same time. So do me a favor and really do an audit around how are you currently attending to those buckets? Have you got systems and processes in place that those buckets are automatically filled with soul-aligned dream clients that you can speak to through your email marketing, through one-on-ones, through discovery calls that you can invite into your world so you can then send them down your conversion buckets? If we have conversations like that, do you believe that sales still feels yuck? Because at the end of the day, if we want to be of highest service, and I know that so many of us are, we need to have those conversations. But we can have these conversations from a place of, this is my medicine that I'm sharing with the world. If you happen to have that problem that I can fix, then I invite you to start having a conversation with me and see if we match, if you want to work with me. At that point, we then need to surrender and let go of the outcome in order for the manifestation and for the abundance to truly flow. Have I gotten that absolutely right? No. For me, manifesting in business and manifesting that regular income stream that I can take to an entirely new level also comes with resistance on my behalf. And that is something that I have to work on a regular basis to not sabotage myself. Because if we have a look at our business, we always have opportunities to have those conversations, but sometimes we shy away from them for whatever reason, because we don't feel good enough. We feel like we're going to be judged. We feel that people might be going to talk about us. Again, bad news. All of that is going to happen, and you have to be okay with that. If you want to run a business that is not just going to pay the bills in your business, but a business that flourishes, that grows, so that you can take your family on that next holiday. I know I spoke about the fact that only a very, very small percentage of entrepreneurs hit the $250,000 mark of annual regular income. I believe the lack of a strategy that is soul aligned and the lack of sales planning processes can probably be attributed to 75% of the businesses that haven't hit that regular income. I'm pretty certain about that that's the case. And so we really have to try and find out, with the limited amount of time and energy that we have, how can we make the most out of the time that we're spending in front of our computer, that we're spending in networks, that we're spending around promoting our business? Because there is a way that it doesn't have to feel yuck, and it can just feel like it's the highest version of us being of service in the world. One of my goals really is that strategy by design will help you identify how your human design can be broken down into those 3 segments for complete and utter energetic alignment, so that your prospecting becomes attraction, magnetic attraction. Your securing becomes the calibration, and your retention becomes that sacred client journey that everyone craves. And as I said, this is the reason why I think that so many of us stay stuck in the feast and famine cycle, because we're scared of anything that has to do with selling. So it's not that we're not clever. It's not that we're not knowing what we're doing. It's just that we're missing a very critical component of what successful business owners do. As I said, I have sat in numerous sales conferences over my 21-year career in marketing and sales in pharmaceuticals and in medical devices. And they throw a lot of money at training their sales teams exactly on this process because it works. If you have a number that you want to aim for at the end of the year, how many conversations do you need to have to get to that number? Because just sitting cross-legged, manifesting with your crystals and writing out intentions is not going to get you there. I have tried and it doesn't work. So I would like to ask you a favor. Please stop posting reactively if you can. Don't launch out of fear and out of scarcity because your bank account is about to hit zero again. And also, please stop chasing the clients who do not value your magic. If you can instead start pricing from your power, creating your own cycles, and scaling from the deepest expression of who you already are. This is no longer about fixing ourselves. It is now starting all about trusting the truth that we already have inside our body. I know this is a little bit of a truth bomb that I have dropped today, but it's because I have observed this in me over and over and over again. And I have been in the industry, I should know better. But I simply pushed away the process because I just thought it was too rigid, it was too masculine, it was too old school. And as a manifesting soulpreneur, we don't need it. Yes, we do. We absolutely do. So I'll be honest, this is just the surface of what it requires to do the work. And for me, strategy by design really takes everything that I have just taken you through to a completely different plane, because there is no longer that second guessing for so many of us. So take a little bit of a breath, take an audit, get honest with yourself. Do not blame yourself. You may not have known better. And I truly, wholeheartedly believe that you are always doing the best that you can at any given moment with the tools that you have been given. But if this has hit home today, perhaps start thinking about how can you implement this process? How can you translate your human design into this process? How can you attract and magnetize people from a place of being whole? Because we all are already whole. All of us who run these kind of businesses, we're all on a healing journey. I'm still on a healing journey. And I think, every time you heal one aspect of yourself, the universe just presents you with another layer of your beautiful onion. So none of us are completely done with our work. And that is, again, just the truth. So right now, we're still in the process of enrolling the final spots for our Founders 50 program within Strategy by Design. And also right now, I still have an end of financial year special, which I may potentially extend until the end of next week when I'm back and when you had an opportunity to listen to this podcast episode. If you would like to find out more about the Founders 50 program, I invite you to send me a message. I would love to take you through a demonstration of what Strategy by Design can do for you and your business. It is groundbreaking, and it's one of the world's first AI strategists with soul. And I'm not saying this lightly. So I will say goodbye for today. I hope that we can start changing some of the narratives around sales and that we can really build the most prosperous future for all of us. Thank you for your time.